Hi Yogi, and welcome to another slow flow practice with me, Oshana. In today's class, we'll be working our way towards our full front splits. We'll be doing that through a technique that I tend to refer to as moving meditation. Other people sometimes refer to it as a ladder flow. And the way it works is that we'll be starting with around 3 postures and we'll continuously repeat them and add to the end of the sequence as we come back to them. The reason for working in this way is really that it's very helpful to think about flexibility training in the same way that you would think about strength training, where, you know, in disciplines such as weightlifting, you would do certain exercises for a number of repetitions and a number of sets to get your muscles to grow and increase your strength. And flexibility actually works very much in the same way. You know, in order to get your body to respond, you have to do a certain movement over and over again so that your body starts to develop muscle memory and eventually starts to accommodate for that movement by either making you more flexible or stronger. Quite possibly a combination of both in both cases. So the only thing you really need for today's practice is 2 bricks, but we will be relying on them quite heavily. So if you don't have 2 bricks, I would suggest that you grab yourself a sort of thicker hardback book that you feel is fairly sturdy and you can put some body weight on it. The other thing I wanted to briefly say is that, of course, the splits is quite an advanced movement. And I think it's very easy to see some of us yoga teachers or more advanced practitioners do the splits and think that it's a very, you know, you can sort of force your way into it. But it's a very easy movement to either injure a hamstring or actually tear a hamstring attachment. And those are really, really painful injuries that go on for at least 6 months before they heal. So in my opinion, it's very much not worth it. So I often give the analogy that, you know, you get a very different response when you barge through a door to get into a room versus knocking politely. And I would really encourage you to treat your body in the same way, that you sort of work gently through the repetitions into your body and into your flexibility, and don't just really force your way into anything here. The final thing to say is we'll be using a hand gesture, a hand mudra, throughout the practice when we do our standing side bends. So it's called Kali Mudra and it's inspired by Kali Ma, the Hindu goddess. I would hugely encourage you to look a little bit into her. So what you do is you interlace your last 3 fingers, you point through your index finger and then cross one thumb on top of the other. And it just is a way of enhancing the standing side bend. So we'll be starting in Tadasana, mountain pose at the front of the mat. So why don't you join me there, Yogi? When you get to the front of your mat, make sure that your feet are hip distance. Ground down through your big toes, pinky toes, as well as the outer edges of your heels. For a moment, close the eyes completely or just soften your gaze. Take a deep inhale, send the breath down in towards your belly. And as you exhale, send the breath out with a soft ha sound. So deep, deep inhale, exhale. And do that 2 more times. From here, blink your eyes open, reach your arms up and overhead, interlace the last 3 fingers, cross your thumbs with the right thumb on top of the left, lift up through your index fingers and squeeze the biceps in towards your ears. Grow as tall as you possibly can when you inhale. As you exhale, take it over into a side bend to the left side of your mat. Really reach through the fingertips, puff out the right side of your chest, but keep your shoulder blades even. And as you inhale, come back up through center, grow a little bit taller. As you exhale, take it over to the second side, side bend to the right. Press through your right heel. Puff out the left side of the chest here. Square the shoulders. Inhale to come back through center, lengthen as much as you can. Soft knees as you exhale, fold all the way back into the legs. As you inhale, hands to your shins, roll the shoulders back, draw the center of your chest towards the floor. As you exhale, fold all the way back down into the legs for Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Gentle bend in the knees as you reverse swan dive all the way back up to standing. Lift the arms, shift the gaze. From here, interlace your last 3 fingers again, but move one pinky finger over for the unusual interlace. Opposite thumb on top, so left thumb on top of the right. As you inhale, the biceps squeeze in towards the ears. You lift up. As you exhale, side bend over to the right. Press down through your right heel. Inhale, lift and lengthen through the center line. Exhale, over to the left. Inhale, come back through center. Lift a little bit taller if you can. Exhale, fold all the way down into the legs. Inhale, lengthen. Grab hold of your bricks on the highest setting. And from here, step your left foot all the way to the back of the mat. Bring the back knee all the way to the ground. Have a sense that your front heel is squeezing in and using the friction of the mat to draw a little bit closer towards the back knee. When you're ready, sweep the arms up into a low lunge, Anjaneyasana. See if from that engagement in your legs, you can lift a little bit higher through the center of your chest. So it's a very active back bend that starts from the floor. The pinky fingers spin in, your shoulders soften. The gaze is very gently lifted towards the ceiling. Exhale, swim the hands down to the bricks. Frame your front foot. Gently from here, draw the hips back. You can keep a generous bend on the front knee if you wish, or you could straighten the leg completely if that's available to you today. Maybe even lift your front toes towards your face. And again, you can stay really nice and tall, especially as it's the beginning of our practice, with a nice tall spine, or you could start to soften the elbows and fold forward, aiming your collarbones towards your front big toe. Lengthening the spine with each inhale, with each exhale, letting go of a little bit of tension, softening down. Gently, when you're ready, plant the hands back on the bricks, rebend your front knee, lift the back leg. Again, have that sense that the front heel is drawing towards your back, the ball of your back foot. And when you're ready with the hands down by your side, come up into a high lunge. From the engagement in the legs, lift the arms all the way up and overhead, press your back heel away. Maybe again, lift the chest, lift your gaze, spin the pinky fingers into high lunge, Alanasana. As you exhale, swim the hands down to your bricks. From here, take an inhale in runner's lunge, arch the chest, roll the shoulders back, lift your gaze. As you exhale, round your forehead in towards your front knee, press the floor away and round the space between your shoulder blades upwards. Inhale to arch the chest, open the collarbones to the front. Exhale to round. One last time here, let the inhale lift the gaze, exhale to round. And when you're ready, find that runner's lunge, draw the hips up and back. Maybe lift the front toes towards your face, maybe straighten the front leg completely for Parsvottanasana. Right hip draws back, left hip draws slightly forward, so we square the pelvis to the front of the mat. We lift the crown of the head forward. Maybe as you exhale, you aim the center of your collarbones towards your front big toes. A little bit of a twist to the right, but just very gently. Stay for your last couple of rounds of breath. Let each exhale soften you a little bit more. With the inhale, rebend the front knee, lift your gaze, press the back heel away. Really feel into that deep quad stretch, the back leg. As you exhale, step the back foot forward. Feet hip distance when you get there, lengthen the spine, lift up. As you inhale, exhale to fold into the legs, Uttanasana. Soft bend in the knees as you reverse swan dive, come all the way up to standing, lift the gaze, lengthen up. Interlace the normal way, reach for your index fingers, cross the thumbs, lengthen in the center, take a deep inhale here. As you exhale, side bend over to the left. Inhale, come back through center, grow tall. Exhale to the right. Inhale, lift up and lengthen. Exhale, swan dive back into your legs. Lift the spine halfway as you inhale. From here, step the right foot all the way to the back of the mat. Bring the right knee down. Again, that deep sense that your front heel is drawing towards the back knee engages the legs, and from that you lengthen the rest of the body up towards the ceiling. You spin your pinky fingers in, feel that burning in the legs as you lift the center of your chest into just a very, very active, maybe quite small and gentle back bend. Don't even have to lift the gaze, you can keep the chin tucked in towards your chest. Nobody judging us for our double chins here when we practice at home, which is nice. And then exhale, float your hands all the way back to the bricks, frame your front foot. Again, your hips want to draw back in space, which might mean that you keep a nice generous bend on the front knee, or you straighten the leg completely, maybe even lifting the toes up towards your face for Ardha Hanumanasana, halfway lift. And again here, with the bricks on the high setting, you can stay nice and tall. You have a sense that your left hip is drawing back in space, right hip moves forward. And as you exhale, you start to hinge forward from the hips, reaching the collarbones forward, active legs, pressing the front heel down. For your last couple rounds of breath here, finding that softness on the exhale, that length on the inhale. When you're ready, rebend the front knee. Lift your back knee off the floor. Again, engage and activate through your legs first. Then with the hands down by your side, come up into a high lunge. Lift the arms. Spin the pinky fingers in. Maybe lift the gaze. Find your balance. Find your focal point for a couple of rounds of breath. As you exhale, swim the hands all the way down. Round the forehead towards the knee. Inhale to arch the spine, roll the shoulders back. Lift the chest. Exhale to round in. Inhale to lift up, lengthen the front of the body, and exhale to press the floor away. And from here, slowly, as you exhale, draw the hips back in space. Again, you could keep that bend on the front knee or straighten it completely. Maybe lift the front toes towards your face. Bricks or books are underneath your shoulders, and you can keep the spine really tall, lengthening forward, or you could start to hinge from the hips to fold forward. Again, right hip draws to the front of the mat, left hip slightly reaching back, so we square the hips off. And slowly as you inhale, rebend the front knee. As you exhale, step the back foot to the front. Lift the chest, lengthen crown of the head. Exhale to fold back in. Soft knees, reverse swan dive all the way back up to standing. Interlace the normal way above your head. Reach for your index fingers. Squeeze the biceps in. Soft knees. As you exhale, side bend over to the left. Inhale, lift up in the center. Exhale to the right. Inhale, back through center. Soft knees as you exhale, fold all the way back down. Plant the hands on your bricks. You might want to adjust them one setting lower. Lift the chest. From here, as you exhale, step your left foot all the way back. Bring the back knee down. We'll be moving just one breath for each movement now. As you inhale, engage the legs, sweep the arms up and overhead into that gentle back bend. Exhale, hands to the bricks. Slide your hips back, lift the front toes. Half split, Ardha Hanumanasana. Rebend the front knee. Lift the back leg as you inhale, sweep the arms into high lunge, Alanasana. Press the back heel away. Exhale to float the hands down, round the forehead towards the knee. Inhale to arch the chest, press the back heel away, lift the crown of the head. Exhale, draw the hips back in space, maybe straighten the front leg, maybe lift the front toes towards your face. Again, options here to keep the spine nice and tall or otherwise folding in as you exhale. Rebend the front knee as you inhale. Plant the bricks either side of the mat with the hands down by your side. Come back into that high lunge. Spin your back heel down and turn your front toes so they're pointing towards the left front corner of your mat. Then take all of your weight into the left leg. Now, options here, you could have your right leg. You could have the hands under your shoulders on the floor and a nice generous bend on the right knee with the left leg straight for Skandasana version 1. Version 2 could still be fairly high, but with the hands on your chest so that you're really engaging your front glute and thigh and really feeling that burn. And option 3 is to lift your front sitting bone or your front heel towards your front sitting bone. And again, you could either use the hands here for balance, it is a toe balance, or you could lift one hand at a time to the center of the chest into Anjali Mudra, prayer position. And for a moment here in Skandasana, find your balance first, then take it to the back of the mat, switch legs either with the hands on the floor or unsupported. And from here, come all the way into the center, plant the hands down, spin your feet to the outer corners of the mat. Let your sitting bones be heavy, then slowly come all the way up into horse stance. Feel a little bit of a gentle buoyancy in your knees, but a sort of heaviness in your pelvis. And then lift the arms when you're ready. Sink your hips a little bit lower if you can. Press the knees away from each other. Lift the gaze. Soften the tension in your jaw. Give yourself a little bit of a smile. Trust your legs to carry there for the last couple breaths. Then slowly float your hands all the way to the floor under the shoulders. Turn the feet parallel to each other. Lengthen the crown of the head forward. As you exhale, start to hinge from the hips to fold all the way down. Crown of the head aims towards the floor. Slowly, when you're ready, walk the hands all the way to the front of the mat. Come back into your runner's lunge. As you inhale, open the chest, press the back heel away. As you exhale, hop or step the back foot to the front. Plant your bricks again on the medium setting or highest. Lengthen the spine as you inhale. Exhale to fold all the way down. Soft bend in the knees as you inhale, the arms sweep all the way up and overhead. The gaze lifts. Interlace the unusual way above the head. Opposite thumb on top. As you inhale, squeeze the biceps in and lengthen up. As you exhale, side bend over to the right. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, side bend to the left. Inhale, back through center, grow tall. As you exhale, float all the way back into the legs. Lengthen the spine halfway, roll the shoulders back. As you exhale, step your right foot all the way back. Bring the knee to the floor, engage the legs. As you inhale, sweep the arms into that low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Exhale the hands to the bricks. Slide your hips back, maybe straighten the front leg, maybe lift the front toes. Again, you could fold forward if you wish. Rebend the front knee when you're ready, lift the back leg. Sweep the arms up as you inhale into a high lunge. Lift the chest, press through the back heel. Swim the hands all the way to the bricks, round the spine as you exhale here. Inhale to arch and lift the chest in runner's lunge. Exhale to send the hips up and back. Maybe the front leg straightens, maybe you lift the front toes towards your face or fold in. Front knee rebends, we remove the bricks briefly. Coming up into high lunge, we ground the back foot. We're going to turn our front toes towards the right corner of the front of the mat. Again, option 1, you could have the hands on the floor, generous bend on your left knee so that you can really reach the floor and stack the hands under the shoulders. Option 2, you could be unsupported with the hands touching, palms touching at your chest. Generous bend on the front knee, or possibly bringing your front sitting bone towards the front heel, lifting the opposite toes up. Again, either hands on the floor or finding that balance, one hand at a time. Lifts the chest, meets in Anjali Mudra, prayer position. And when you find your balance, either with the hands supporting you or unsupported, you sort of Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee it to the back of your mat rather. And again, find that balance first. Then bring the hands to the center of your mat. Lift the hips, turn the toes to the outer corners. Let your hips sink down and back, press the knees out gently, then lift the arms into horse stance. Again, the hips are heavy, but everything from the crown is lengthening up, lifting towards the ceiling, the pinky fingers spin in, the shoulders release down and back. And we stay here, we find our focus for a couple of rounds of breath. We find softness in the face, in the jaw. And gently as you exhale, the hands swim down, the feet turn parallel. The spine lengthens forward. As you exhale, you fold towards the ground. Maybe you can walk the hands towards the opposite side of the mat. Gently, when you're ready, bring the hands back under the shoulders, walk your way to the front of the mat, back into runner's lunge, open the chest as you inhale, and exhale to step the back foot to the front. Exhale to fold in. Soft bend in the knees as you inhale, interlace the hands overhead, lift the gaze, go for the normal interlace. Lift up as you inhale, exhale over to the left. Inhale back through center, grow taller, exhale to the second side. Inhale to lift up for our final round here. As you exhale, fold all the way down. Lift halfway, Ardha Uttanasana, roll the shoulders back. On the exhale here, we'll plant the hands down, step the left foot back. Now yogi's choice to use bricks, or maybe you take them on the lower setting. You don't have to use bricks at all at this point because you might be feeling quite warm. From here, as you inhale, sweep the arms up into your low lunge. Inhale. Exhale to swim the hands down. Come into your half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana, your version, whatever's working for you today. Rebend the front knee when you're ready. Lift the back leg. Inhale into your high lunge. Lift the chest, lift the gaze. Exhale, round down, forehead to knee. Arch the spine, runner's lunge. Exhale, lift the hips back for Parsvottanasana. Maybe lift the toes towards your face. And here, if you're looking for an added challenge, I will say this is easier with the bricks on the highest setting. You may see, if you can, float your front heel all the way off the floor. So you're retracting the leg back into the center of the body. When you're ready, release the foot all the way down. Remove the bricks, back heel grounds. And again, we find our variation of Skandasana. So you might come back to any of the higher variations. Maybe the lower version works for you. Maybe you're balancing on the toes. Take it to the back of the mat. Slightly different here, we'll have the left hand to the inside of the left knee, open the chest into a little gentle twist here. Really expand the chest. And with the hands on the floor, find the center of your mat. Turn the toes towards the outer corners. Inhale to sweep the arms up and overhead for horse stance. Find that focus. This time, slightly different. Interlace the hands behind your back. Bring the feet parallel. Lengthen up as you inhale. Exhale. Soften the knees to fold all the way down. Maybe let your arms come overhead if you wish. Gently release the hands back under the shoulders. Walk your way to the front of the mat. From here, shimmy the outer edge of your right foot to the outside of your mat. Lower the back knee all the way down. Lift the chest as you inhale in that runner's lunge. Optional here to just bend the elbows or come all the way onto forearms if that's easily accessible to you. And when you get there, you find you can still breathe. There might be a slight gentle turning out of your right toes, but not too excessive. Just maybe 5 or 10 degrees. So finding your variation of lizard lunge that works for you. You could be still with the hands on the floor. Just doing the deepest variation of every pose doesn't necessarily mean that we're good at yoga. And slowly, one hand at a time, you could plant the hands back under the shoulders if they're not there already. From here, we'll take it into Twisted Lizard, slight variation on Twisted Lizard. So we'll bring our weight into the left hand. We'll reach back and see if we can bring our left heel to meet the left sitting bone. So we can help it along a little bit by drawing it in, as long as there's no pain in the knee joint. And if the heel is touching, then you start to draw the hips forward and down. So you get really deep into that front of the quad of your left thigh. And having your final few rounds of breath here. Slowly release the foot when you're ready. Shimmy your right foot to the center of the mat. Turn all 10 toes out to the right side of the mat. Lift your right hip, so your left hip, then lift your right arm. So you're in a supported side plank. Again, optional to stay here, or as you exhale, the top hand reaches back. You lower the hips. As you inhale, you engage the glutes and the hip muscles to lift yourself up. Reach the right arm up and overhead, and do that 2 more times if you wish. Otherwise, you could stay in the static version. And when you're ready, come back into runner's lunge, grab hold of your bricks, bring the back knee down. Now we're going to go for our full splits here on the first side. And we've done a lot to prepare the muscles to engage the right muscles, but also to lengthen them. So you could always come back to any of the versions of half splits that we've already done. If you want to take it a little bit further, there's lots of ways of varying that. You could remove the bricks and start to fold towards your front leg. But if you want to go for the full splits, I would highly recommend that you keep your bricks by the sides of your hips. And you can tuck the back toes, slide the back knee further back, slide your front toes a little bit further forward until you sort of meet the right amount of resistance where you can still stay for a couple of rounds of breath. But it is maybe challenging. And with every exhale, you focus on allowing a little bit of that tension to melt away. You're really sending the breath into the legs. And when you find a place where you can stay, maybe one hand at a time, lifts to the heart center with the palms touching. But you can also be a little bit more active, like I am here. I'm really, again, focusing on drawing the front heel towards my back big toe. Keeping the legs engaged, which means I'm a little bit higher, but usually I would say this is a safer version of full splits. Now to come out of this, of course, you can always retrace your steps into half splits, or you could tuck your back toes and see if you can very actively pull your front heel towards the back foot. And you should end up towards the back of the mat. You can have the feet hip distance and fold in. Otherwise, if you're in that half split variation, we'll meet you at the front of the mat in a forward fold. If you're at the back, slowly walk forward. Join your fellow yogis at the front. Lengthen the spine halfway as you inhale, roll the shoulders back. As you exhale, fold into the legs. Soft bend in the knees as you inhale, sweep the arms all the way up and overhead. Interlace your last 3 fingers. Point for your index finger to lift up and lengthen. Exhale over to the right side of the mat. Inhale, lift through the center. Exhale to the left. Inhale, grow as tall as you possibly can. Exhale, soft knees, swan dive all the way back to Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Lengthen the spine halfway, roll the shoulders back. As you exhale, step your right foot back. Lower the back knee down. Our very, very last side. It's always very exciting. Inhale, reach the arms up, engage front heel towards the back knee. Lift the center of your chest. As you exhale, hands back to the bricks. Any option of bricks, any option of half splits. Front leg might straighten, maybe you're folding in. As you rebend the front knee, the back leg lifts into runner's lunge. Inhale takes you into your high lunge. Lift the gaze, press the back heel away. Exhale the hands back to your bricks. Round the forehead in towards the knee. Lengthen the spine in runner's lunge as you inhale. Exhale, the hips draw back into Parsvottanasana. Again, option here, you could be thinking more about folding forward, working on that flexibility, or if you want to try this very, very active stretch, you bring the bricks back onto your highest setting, press down into the bricks, see if you can float the heel off the ground, really aiming the toes towards your face. Gently rebending the front knee. From here, removing the bricks gently. Plant the back heel down, come up into a sort of butchered version of Warrior Two. Spin your front toes towards the right corner of the front of your mat. Again, option one, to have the hands on the floor into a high skandasana, or to bring the hands in front of the chest. Send your sitting bones over to the front of the mat, really deep bend on the left knee. Or maybe the heel comes towards your sitting bone, you float the opposite toes towards the ceiling. And again, either using the hands for support or finding your balance. Gently take it to the back of the mat, any which way. From here, right hand to the inside of the right knee, left arm lifts and opens the chest towards the ceiling into a gentle twist. When you're ready, top hand comes down, we move to the center of the mat, the toes turn outwards, the knees are pressing out, we come and rise up, hands overhead in horse stance. Sitting into our obese Shetland pony, as I always like to say, so that your sitting bones are nice and heavy, there's grounding through the feet, lifting through the crown of the head, pinky fingers spinning in. When you're ready, the legs straighten, the feet turn parallel. You interlace the hands the unusual way behind the back. Move one pinky finger over. Inhale, roll the shoulders back, lift the chest. Exhale, fold into your legs, soft knees. Crown of the head reaches down. Arms might be reaching towards the ceiling or all the way overhead. Gently, when you're ready, unravel the hands, bring them underneath your shoulders. Walk your way all the way back to the front of the mat. Bring your back knee down. Shimmy your left foot to the outer edge of your mat. Again, you can have about a 5 to 10 degree turn out of the toes. You could stay really nice and high here with the chest drawing forwards. It's a really nice way of getting into the deeper tissue along the entire front body. If you wish, you can bend the elbows, or you could come all the way onto the forearms. Maybe even resting your forehead on a brick if you wish, so that you can release a little bit of the muscle tension in the back of the neck, just for a couple of rounds of breath here. Gently, when you're ready, plant the hands back under the shoulders. From here, shift your weight into your right hand. See if you can pick up your right toes and reach your left hand back to see if you can grab hold of them. Maybe you're able to draw them a little bit closer towards your sitting bone on the same side. And if you get the heel all the way to the sitting bone, reach your hips a little bit further forward. So get really deep into the hip flexors and all the muscles along the front of your thigh. Gently release when you're ready. Shimmy your front foot a little bit to the center of the mat. Turn all 10 toes towards the left and reach the left arm all the way up and overhead into that supported side bend, side plank even. We'll take it into side bend here. So if you wish, you could dip the hips down, reach your left arm all the way back. As you inhale, sweep the top arm all the way up and over into that side bend to the second side. Exhale to come down, inhale to lift up and over. Really feel into that stretch, as well as the strengthening the muscles, glute medius along the outside of your hips. And from here, spin the top hand down, come back into runner's lunge so you can release your back knee. Again, grab hold of your bricks. Medium setting would be my suggestion. Again, you can be working on any variation of your half splits. You could be straightening the front leg, the toes reaching up towards your face. Again, maybe folding in any option of the bricks or hands. And if you're going for the full splits, again, you can tuck the back toes under, you can shimmy the back knee away from you, you can shimmy the front heel forward, and eventually maybe allow the hips to come towards the floor. They don't have to reach all the way. You could be supported by the bricks, really retracting the front heel back towards your right big toe at the back of the mat. Maybe allowing the hips to come down and bringing the hands together at the heart center if you wish, but being very mindful. And I have to say I really prefer the active version of this now. And from here, tuck your back toes under if you want to try that active lift. Otherwise, come back to your low lunge and step forward. Otherwise, you're retracting this front heel all the way to the back of the mat, really engaging the muscles. Feet hip distance in whichever variation of forward fold you are. As you exhale, fold in. Let the spine round. Have a little sway of the hips left and right. If you're at the back, slowly make your way to the front. We'll meet there. And from here, our last bit of hard work. We'll bend the knees deeply. As you inhale, sweep the arms all the way up and over into chair pose. Let the sitting bones reach down and back for that invisible chair that's behind you. Spin the pinky fingers in. Maybe lift the gaze. Find your focal point. Then lift the heels as high as you can. Ooh, don't lose your balance. Send the sitting bones a little bit lower and just a millimeter lower, even lower than that. And a tiny fraction lower. You can do it. You can hold it there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relief. You can bring your sitting bones all the way down to the heels. You could have the hands on the bricks for support or all the way on the floor. And some options here, it's kind of a great mobility test. So you could either use the bricks or hands on the floor to help you come to a seated position, or you could reach your arms forward for counterbalance and see if you can control very slowly the way to the floor. And we'll meet lying on our backs. You can make any adjustments here. And for a moment, allow your spine to settle into the floor. Really allow your spine to find that gentle curve of the lower back, as well as the gentle curve underneath your neck. From here, take your arms out by your side, either cactus arms or straighten them all the way. One knee at a time draws into the chest. As you exhale, the knees go over to the left. If you wish, your top knee goes around the bottom knee. I have to think about that one a little bit. So that you're almost sitting cross-legged, but lying on the floor. If you wish, the gaze travels over in the opposite direction to the knees, so facing towards the right side of the mat. Let the breath soften. Come back to your natural way of breathing. Let everything be as heavy as it can be. Let the knees feel that they're weighted down by gravity towards the floor. Let your shoulders soften. Gently as you inhale, lift the knees back into center. Unravel the knees if you've crossed them. For a moment, squeeze your knees in towards you. See if you can almost flatten the spine towards the floor, giving yourself a sort of counter stretch of symmetrical. And gently release the arms again. Allow the knees to go over to the right. Again, you could stay there or cross the top leg over the bottom knee. As long as you can keep the knees releasing down here. Maybe you take the gaze over towards your left elbow, if that's comfortable for the neck. You could close the eyes, you can allow the body to really soften down. And think to yourself where you can release a little bit more tension with each exhale. Is your jaw clenching? Are your shoulders tight? Where can you send those exhalations to release a little bit more? Slowly on your next inhale, draw the knees back into center. Again, squeeze the knees in. This time, see if you can round the forehead all the way up towards the knees so you're lifting the shoulders and the head. Gently release the head and shoulders back down. From here, yogi's choice, you can roll over to the left side of your mat. Use your right arm to support you there to come up to seated, or you can bring the hands underneath your knees. Use the legs to gather a bit of momentum as you rock a few times through the spine. And same here, we'll eventually meet sitting. Any comfortable seat works. So you could have the heels in one line, you could bring the shins one in front of the other. And when you get there, we'll have the hands together at the heart center. We'll close the eyes or soften the gaze, and we'll round the forehead towards the fingertips. And we use this final moment of practice to plant our little seed of good intention for today or for the rest of your week. Maybe sending that good intention to somebody else who might need it more than you do. The light in me recognizes the light in you. Namaste, yogi. Oof, covered in hair. Thank you so much for joining me in today's practice. Of course, if you have questions, please pop them in the comments section down below. Any information, if you want to find me online, it's all in the description to the video. And of course, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and join me again for another Slow Flow next week. I hope to see you on your mat, yogi. Have an amazing rest of your week. Thank you.